What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Welcome back to another podcast episode of Age of Men. Good to see you guys again. Hope you guys are doing well. Always good to be back. I know these past couple weeks I was not feeling well, but I got better over time and I'm still doing fantastic. I think the cough is still lingering though. I can kind of hear it, but other than that, I'm all good. All is well over here. My man Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Great, bro. It's giving you that raspy jazz singer voice, so embrace it.
I know. That's pretty much for reals, man. It's my new voice now. I'm hitting puberty, so I'm gonna get a nice little deeper voice, and you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
It's the age of men. We're becoming men, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Man, that was a good rim shot on. Yeah, man. So Nick, anything new with you? Anything you got going on? Anything like that?
I've been busy. Nothing particular to write home about, but I will say before I let you take away the intro, I'm really excited about tonight's episode. Our guest.
So am I, man. You know, again, glad you guys are tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys are following us on all other social media platforms. All the links are down below. You guys can follow me today with Julius on Instagram. It's where I post headline news, videos, and things like that, interviews that I do. You guys can also follow Nick. I know Nick's always got great content on everything that's, just lots of questions Nick has. History. I know him and Layla got things going on with their the tapes from the 60s and things like that, discussing what's going on with society that they predicted is happening right now. So a lot of cool stuff. So make sure you guys are following us on all social media platforms. So tonight's show, we have a very special guest. I mean, a real special. All of our guests have been special, but this guest right here is somebody that I met via Instagram, someone that actually inspired me, which is actually crazy because if it wasn't for this person, Age of Men wouldn't even be here. And that started because this person inspired me to do the People's Convoy that happened in early 2022. Had we not had that discussion, I wouldn't have had the experience to go across country with the experience coming back that led to the idea of doing the Age of Men podcast. So we're going to bring this guest on, this guy. And I know we always say this about a lot of our guests, but this guy is truly the man, the myth, the legend. This guy's super inspirational, super motivational, always good content. Want to bring on our guest, Mr. Liddell Bugs.
What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I ain't all that, man, but how you guys doing? You guys doing all right, brothers?
All is well, sir. All is well. We appreciate you being here.
For sure. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Liddell.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing well, man. I've just been pretty busy with number one, family, my wife and my two little girls. Number two, business as well is going extremely well for us as well. Of course, you have some challenges in any business that you're scaling or doing as well, but all is well. And number three, man, it's just enjoying life, man. That's about it.
Nice. That's something that we actually, I was thinking about, kind of diving in on talking with you
for, sure.
For this hour of the podcast. I want to kind of talk to you about entrepreneurship, about marriage, and, what it is to be in a successful marriage. I mean, what I see from you, assuming you have a successful marriage, dad, mom, the children have both their parents. So something I want to kind of dive in with you. I guess we can start the question off. I want to ask you, what got you to present yourself more on social media?
Well, that's a great question. Number one, for me, I've always liked teaching, but I want to make sure that I was bringing value as I was teaching. And so for me, I said, okay, what space can I kind of plug into? Because when it came to entrepreneurship, I got introduced to entrepreneurship by my uncle Gary, who was a former head of probations for the Ellis County in Texas. And when I was 17 years old, I was sitting in my mom and dad's living room, and he presented a term called cash flow. And I said, Uncle, what is that? And he said, something that you do one time, but you get paid over and over again. And I just said, why am I going to college to get a job if I can learn how to do that and continue to make income on a monthly basis? Another term for that is residual income. And when I began to kind of unpack what that would look like, what business models actually generate the type of income, who actually are the moguls that actually have mastered this type of income, I began to kind of dive deep into that. I do have a college degree. I even asked my professor in our accounting class, when we're going to start talking about money. and the professor said, well, you learn that when you get out of school. And then I responded and said, so why am I listening to you? And she didn't like that at all. I got an A in the class, but she didn't like that at all. But that was a kind of a valuable question because this is a place of higher learning. And if we're not learning about economics, about money, how to make money, why am I spending money to pay you? And that was when I kind of dive into it. And so as I began to learn that type of craft, I learned those type of business and leadership skills and get into those circles of people that actually do that. I noticed that a lot of people, whether they were Black, white, Hispanic, have not been privy to being in the rooms that I've been in. A lot of people on TV you see, I talk to. And so I just said, okay, how can I begin to kind of be my Uncle Gary to somebody else? And so that's when I kind of dived into the social media platforms.
Interesting. You know, what's funny is that I too have an uncle named Gary. Just the East Coast. So shout out to Uncle Gary's out there. All Uncle Gary's out to y'all.
So Liddell, we have a commonality. Would you mind perhaps introducing the audience a bit to truth in the marketplace?
Well, truth in the marketplace, or TITM, is a term that I actually learned with my time getting in with the Lord. And I began to see in those rooms, those economic rooms, those business titans rooms, no matter if it was government, corporate, banking, you name it, there's a lot of spinning going on. And I just said, man, where's the truth at? I noticed that there was not a lot of character when it comes to business and finance. You hear the terms, it's not personal, it's just business. That's a very low character mentality. Someone that doesn't value you, they value the dollar over you. I don't want to do business with someone like that at all. And so I just said, okay, how can I begin to infuse truth into the marketplace? So that's what it actually came up with.
And that's a media company, right? Or is that a
it is
branch of something more?
Well, you have TITM Properties. It's a company that owns some real estate. TITM, or Truth in the Marketplace, Media Group. That was what Age of Men Podcast is on, guys. And you guys are killing it. You guys are killing it, which is pretty cool. You have TITM Merch as well for our merchandise. That just launched. So we're going to begin a pretty big social media push on that. So that's kind of what this kind of umbrella is, Truth in the Marketplace umbrella, so to speak.
Fantastic. I'm proud to be a part of it, Liddell, and I'm grateful you brought us on board. We're going to shake this thing up out here.
Yeah, I'd be so down to rock a TITM beanie. Like, I'm so down to rock it.
Well,
I love my beanies, man. I love my beanies.
Hey, man, I'm a hat guy from I'm a sweatshirt guy. That's just me. Like when I go to the banks, I look like this. Now, if I meet with the president of the bank or the CEO of the bank, I do get suited and booted sometimes. Or if I'm meeting with a congressman or a lieutenant governor, the governor of Texas, like that, I'm putting on the suit. But when I own the bank, I'm like, you got my money. I'm walking like this. You're
walking like you do the game on the weekend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
To piggyback off Nick, I'm also proud to be a part of the team too. I think it's dope, man. The fact that we get to really, build a platform based on like different ideas and, kind of show this take on this or show this take on that. It's dope, man. I love it. I love it.
The most powerful thing in the world is an idea. That's the most powerful thing in the world, because once you have an idea or a concept, then you begin to understand, how can I begin to execute this idea? And so I always say the wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard, because a lot of ideas and concepts are buried there that never get executed.
That's actually an interesting point, because when I was in, I'm not DC, but I think I was in West Virginia. It's the place that has the cemetery. With all the soldiers.
No, Virginia.
Yeah, it's Virginia, right? Yeah, I forget. I think it's like Arlington Cemetery, something like that, right?
That sounds right.
Yes.
Yeah, so going there and like looking at all the cemetery, all the soldiers, I was just like, man, there's so many people. And I was talking about this on the live. I'm like, there's so many people that fought for this country, regardless of
Yeah,
race, religion. It doesn't matter. These people came together for a common reason. And I don't
sure.
imagine what all these people had, their ideas, what they had in common. Like, it's just interesting to know that these people came together to unite, to fight for something that
Yeah.
we're all being free today for. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's awesome. So you're
Yeah,
right about that.
yeah. That's why I still say the pledge of allegiance when I'm asked to. That's fine. I still because my biological father fought in Vietnam, and my grandfather fought in World War II. So I
Mm,
do actually have some military pedigree in my background. So yeah.
Well,
nice.
speaking of the military and what they fought for,
Mhm.
Liddell, I recently watched the most recent live on Instagram that we all did together, where you met the notorious Paulie, and you guys had a
Ah,
great discussion.
yeah,
It was a tough one initially, but it
sure.
really bared some fruit. And I got some quotes from you on there. I'd love to dive into if you don't mind.
Holla at me. Go ahead.
So at one point, you said to Paulie, "I don't pay any taxes. I live off of debt."
That's right.
Can you explain that to the people?
Well, simple. I'll keep it as simple as I can. Whenever money is created from the Federal Reserve level, it's debt because they're borrowing it from you. So from the standpoint, it is debt. Well, debt is an expense. Expense cannot be taxed because it's an expense. And so when I make money, I make money off of debt. I don't. That's why it's called the income tax or capital gains tax. I'm a terms and definitions guy. So people like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, I'm sorry, President Trump, even when it comes to congressmen, senators, any business titan, Jeff Bezos, Jerry Jones, these guys don't live off of income. They live off of debt.
Mm,
Now that debt could be in the form of many things. It could be. Let me kind of define debt. People are actually when I hear the word debt, they kind of go, no. What it depends on what your understanding of what debt is. Again, terms and definitions. If someone goes out and buys a house to live in, and you go out and get a loan, that's what I call bad debt. Why? Because you are paying it back.
Mm.
So whether you or have a job or not, that note is due, correct, on a monthly basis. That's bad debt. Debt takes the money out of your pocket. So Liddell, what is good debt? Well, good debt is money that you borrowed to buy a property, but you didn't lease it out. And the leasee is paying more to you than what you're paying to the bank. So you have what they call a delta or arbitrage of profit there.
You're profiting there. Okay. Man, you
Exactly.
broke that down in a really
Exactly.
simple way for us to understand because I hear concepts like this often, but I never had it explained to me quite like that. That's great.
It's
is
it,
that
it's real simple. Hmm?
is that way different from passive income?
No, the passive income is the arbitrage or delta there. So, example, if the debt on the house that I go out and buy and lease out is $700, and the lease payment that I'm receiving is $1,000, I'm netting $300, right?
Okay.
So every single month. Now, how many times did I buy that property? One time. How many times did I lease the property out? One time. Every single month, that leasee is paying me $1,000 a month.
They're
Every
paying the
month.
mortgage and $300 on top of that. Yeah.
Exactly. So every month they're paying me 1,000, and every month I'm paying my debt or my lender $700, right? So I'm
Okay.
net $300 per month. I'm not working for the $300. It's coming in every single month. That's called passive income.
And you do this with as many properties and situations as you can, obviously, if you want to be a successful businessman.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Wow. This is great.
Mhm.
So, do you think it's fair to say that there are not many men who accomplish not so much of what you do, but they're not putting themselves in that position that you're in?
Yes and no. I would say yes, uh, because they haven't been taught it, or they have been taught it and they have refused that knowledge. too many times what we typically do a lot of times, Nick and Julius, is we'll focus on the portion of the discussion about not being exposed to this knowledge. And that is correct. That's a fact. But there's also another portion of the discussion to where you've been exposed to the knowledge. A person has been exposed to knowledge and they refuse to receive it. That's never talked about. And so there's a reality on both sides that we have to begin to look at. Because me personally, I've exposed this knowledge to a lot of family members. They refused it. They said, nope, no, we don't want to do that at all, period. Now they're changing the tune because things are getting bad. So they're like, oh, wait, hold on, let's talk now. And I talk to them still, but I'm like, you could have been in a better position if just 24 months ago you have listened to me. But it's
Liddell,
okay.
have you ever asked them, like, what was their initial hesitation? Do you ever get any reasonable answers, or is it just kind of?
Well, yes, they'll say, they'll say, normally I'll get, well, that sounds like a con. Huh? I'm like, huh? I'm just buying a property and leasing that. That don't work. Okay. So I get it. I get it. It's a con or it don't work. I'm like, but I'm doing it now. I don't believe you. Whatever.
I'm lucky. I mean, I'm doing pretty well. What else can I tell you? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Wow.
Someone had a comment. Mark Winberg had a comment. He said, when Liddell talks, I feel like I can accomplish anything. Love listening to him. So smart. Love the show, guys. Thanks for what you guys are doing. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Mark, man. Hey, Mark, thanks, brother. God bless you, man. Thanks, man.
He's a wise man to realize Liddell's got some wisdom as well, and sometimes you just want to like shut up and listen, ask some questions and listen.
Just shut up and dribble, right?
Yeah. I mean, about everybody, man. I said, I love being the dumbest person in the room because I get to listen. Mm-hmm. You can learn a lot when you listen with your 2 ears and shut your one mouth. Looking a lot.
There's a quote. I can't remember this quote exactly, but it's from like a superhero show I saw. The character, the Flash, he always played dumb. Everybody thought he's like this dumb, dude that just goes around running and he's just acting fool. But when it comes to taking things seriously, people saw how much he cared. So one of the superheroes caught on and was like, I see now. You play the fool to hide a warrior's like pain, essentially, kind of thing. So I'm like, that makes sense because it's like if you give off that like you're smarter than anybody else, people are off put by that. But if you kind of walk in and like you don't know anything, but you listen and take that info and apply it, now people are like, "Whoa, I didn't realize he was."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's interesting to hear you guys both say those things because I never consciously realized it, but that's two things that I kind of have always just played to my advantage. One, people ask like, "You seem like you're a good host or whatever," and like, why do you think that is? And I just came to realize it's because I actually like to ask questions and hear how people answer them, like fair questions. That's really it. I like to ask them questions and listen. But then two, I like to play like kind of naive a lot rather than acting like I'm coming at them a certain judgmental way or phrasing a question. Just an innocent question, and just let them answer it that way. So it can serve you well if you're not putting on an air of like some arrogance or something.
Yeah,
it really can. It really can. Really
I learned that a lot too, especially doing questions when I'm doing my Man in the Street interviews. Because when you watch these conservatives doing questions, like, oh, they look so smart, and you want to go out there and do gotchas, so you can get that little clickbait. But then you realize it doesn't help push anything because it's like you're making people look stupid versus having an actual genuine like connection with these people. So even though people may disagree with me, I may disagree with them. If we don't talk like normal people, how are we going to ever progress to really kind of, unite in a way where we can actually have common ground, even if we disagree? Yeah. So it took me a while to learn that, but I think I caught on pretty good. At least I think I did.
I actually like when you go out and ask questions, where you kind of sit there and people walk by you and ask questions. That's actually good, and you get the authentic answer, not some edited clickbait type of answer. I like that.
Yeah, I only edit for the TikTok just to make it somewhat entertaining, but the response is still genuine. But I still make it entertaining.
You gotta play the game, right, Julius? It's TikTok.
You got to.
You got to at least put one quarter into the machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Liddell, another question.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I wanted to ask Liddell another question from that live while we're on it. You said the quote was, "I don't have an oppressor because I know the game."
Yes.
Can you explain that a little bit? It was in relation to Paulie, who was challenging you, by the way.
I like Paulie. He all right with me.
Yeah.
I'm a big wrestling fan, and so one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day, and I had a couple of them, was Triple H.
Oh,
He said it's all about the game. It's time to play it. And so for me, I noticed that those that actually know the game know how to play the game. And the only time that someone can oppress you is if there's a lack of knowledge somewhere. Now, I'm not saying that I'm all knowing, because I'm not. But that's why you have a good team around you. So I have attorneys, I have wise counsel, I have bankers, I have tax attorneys, I have CPAs, bookkeepers, I have asset protection attorneys. I have I have millionaires, I have billionaires that I can reach out to as well. So I have a lot of individuals that I actually know that can assist me with wise counsel. And that was kind of a wise counsel statement. If you know the game, how can someone really oppress you? You can out negotiate them, outfox them. The only way someone can oppress you is the only way someone can actually oppress you is if you don't know the game. It's a lack of knowledge there. And so my whole thing is, okay, when the scripture says my people perish because of lack of knowledge, I say, okay, I don't want the perish portion. So let me dive into this knowledge base. Now, that means I have to widen the circle and advise wise counsel and also accountability. So I welcome all that in. But that's what I meant by it, is being wise enough to say, okay, I need people around me to teach me how to play the game so I can never be oppressed, if that makes sense.
That's well said. And that's a perfect segue into, do you mind filling us in on the counter move? That's your podcast, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I have a podcast called the Counter Move Podcast.
Right.
That comes from, okay, I see a situation. What's the counter move? How can I, whether it be a bad situation I'm in, a good situation I'm in, and an informational gathering, or what they call research and development, or R&D, a situation that I can do in as well. What is the counter move so I can position myself to be in a better situation? So that podcast airs every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on all platforms, and around like 9:30 on Instagram as well, also, because I re-air it on Instagram in the proper I guess
Format,
format of what it is. Yeah, that's how I normally do it. I am doing a special one on Tuesday at 8:30. And again, and I also have a Kind of Move podcast interview series to where I actually interview a business mogul or political mogul. The first one was Matt Zapala. He's a cash flow millionaire. He makes well over $1 million cash flow wise on an annual basis. The second one was Brian Adamson. He's a real estate mogul, as I am. He and I actually own apartment complexes nationwide. And then I have this third one that's coming from, this is the one that's special for me, is my rich dad, Preston Swaggerty. He's my former high school basketball coach. He's my dad. He's my dad. And he coached me in high school. And I saw this man go from broke to netting about $400,000 a month cash flow.
Wow.
Cash flow. So I've seen that happen there, and in real time, I talk to him all the time. We talk all the time. I go to that all the time. So he's my rich dad.
That's your father. That's like, for those in the audience, that's the rich dad, poor dad kind of theme from the book.
That is
okay.
Correct, yeah.
And he was the good influence, so to speak, more or less.
Yes.
The fatherly figure. Incredible. Yes. My dad was the same way. I saw him grow from kind of poor to now he's like the most wealthy dude I know. He might be a millionaire for all I know, but it's invaluable for a young man to have that influence in his life, is it not?
And for those on the back row, he's a white man.
He would.
He's a white man, and I said it because whenever you're presenting value, color never gets you out of the room as long as you are presenting value.
Wow.
All the time. So therefore, I don't look at things through race. I look at, is this bringing me value or am I giving value? If I'm not giving value, the most valuable thing I can do is shut up. Period.
That is profound, Liddell. Holy hell.
Yeah, that's something and that's, I'm glad you said it that way. I want to kind of segue into just real quick to the race topic. I want to understand, how do I frame this the right way? why I noticed that there's a lot of, I don't know so much pinpoint to a certain race, but there's a lot of Black successful people. I mean, a lot.
Sure.
You, amongst many others.
Mhm.
Why is it that we don't acknowledge, somebody like you who knows how to, not just so much knows the game, but knows how to balance what they're doing? How come we don't acknowledge the success of you, but we got to look at the downfall in order to say that Black people are oppressed?
Well, I always say I don't want none of the glory. That glory goes to Christ and Christ alone. So acknowledging me is not something that I desire. My desire is to glorify His name and make His name great, and that's it. Number two, when it comes to the racial portion of this thing, typically, think about it. When does race normally come up? Typically, not all the time, but typically when there's a political narrative trying to be pushed.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why that's why I'm quick to hear and slow to speak, because I want to hear, okay, what is the narrative? What's the source of what are you trying to push here? Because I can know very quickly if you're pushing value, extremely quickly. Okay, how is this edifying Nick? How is this edifying Julius? How is it edifying Liddell? That's a value statement. How is this bringing value to us? If there's no value, you should not be listened to at all, because now you are an impediment to growth. And last time I checked, I don't want to be around anything that's not trying to grow.
Love it.
How important is it? I mean, not just for Black people, but for all people. How important is it to have a father in the home?
Very important. My biological father was not there for me at all. My stepfather was. My mom remarried. We did go through a domestic violence situation. I grew up in a domestic violence situation with my I call him my father, but my stepfather. My mother and father and him, they weathered that storm, which was great, no problem. He taught me how to play basketball, but my mother and my father didn't know anything at all about economics or finance or credit at all. They taught me what they knew. And so a father for me was pivotal. I wouldn't have played basketball or college basketball without my father, in addition to what basketball was. I remember when I fell in love with basketball, I was sitting there in the living room when I started watching the Lakers versus the Celtics, Magic versus Bird. And I said, Dad, what is this? He said, oh, that's basketball, son. I said, these guys can move, and how Magic was passing, and our Bird played slow, but he was killing them.
Yeah,
He said,
he
was like, oh my God. And he was very smart. And my dad said, you want to learn how to play basketball? I said, I do. So every Saturday, I worked with my dad about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we would get in the car, drive down to the park. We'll shoot for 2 hours. We did it every single Saturday. But then he pushed me. I said, Dad, I actually want to go to the NBA. NBA. He said, you sure? Yeah. He said, now, if you want me to train you? I said, yeah. He said, if you want me to train you, I'm going to push you. Are you sure? I said, yeah, I am. And y'all, he pushed me so hard. I mean, one time I pretended like I was sick because I just didn't want to work out. My dad walked in the door from work and he said, you sick? Yeah, I'm feeling too good. He said, oh, okay, you ain't eating tonight. Because you knew I was lying. You ain't lying. You know I was lying. You ain't eating tonight. He said, unless you go jog that mile every day, because I have to jog a mile every day. He said, unless you jog that mile, you ain't eating today. And my mom said, you heard it, because he knew I was lying. But that taught me a kind of accountability. And I love him for that. I love him for that.
Those are tactics that sound controversial nowadays in this sensitive era, but I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It works. And I had the same thing with my dad. I mouthed off at my mom one time real bad and didn't come home till real late, hoping he'd be asleep because I knew he was going to give me help for it. And I hear his alpha steps coming down. I'm like, oh man, he's up. This isn't good. And he comes in and he just pokes me right on my sternum. He's like, you ever talk to my wife like that again? I'll effing kill you. And I was like,
yes,
no, I won't. I will not. I will not talk to her like that. And I never did.
Sir.
I never did.
Sir. That's right, man.
I will not talk to her.
He said, kudos to your dad. Yeah, kudos to your dad, man. He checked you. That's good.
Yeah, he didn't even say like your mom. He said my wife. I got like the vibe that if you're making me pick between her or you, I choose her. Don't mess
All
with
day
my
long.
wife.
All day long. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's why.
Any more quotes, Nick?
Yeah. Let me. I got them all day, Liddell.
Go
So
ahead, brother. We
building
got
off of
time.
that last one you said, fantastic. We'll keep you. Don't let us keep you too long.
Are you good? Go ahead, brother. My wife said you got it. Go ahead, baby.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
No problem.
So you said the game, and because of that, you went on to say something like because Paulie was saying something about how I still have to go to the grocery store or whatever and rely on the system. You're like, I own a farm.
Yes. This. And the thing about it's not having to own a farm, and the ownership could be in partnership or it could be your own farm. And I do own a lot of land in East Texas. I do. And that was because of my grandfather. Well, they're set up. Black people. so. But anyways,
Yeah.
so I don't like this narrative of we can't do good for ourselves. Yes, we can. I'm living proof of that. Judas is living proof of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But at the exact same time, you don't have to go to the grocery store. You can actually go to a local farm. We actually buy our meat from a local farm here in Texas.
Oh yeah.
We bought, and this is more of the cow meat. Now, as far as chicken, we do go to like a Costco, but ground beef, man, we bought a quarter of a steer. It was a whole bunch of meat. Oh my God, $700.
I bet that tastes so much better than the ground beef I cooked up for my tacos today.
My God, it showed. Oh, it does. It tastes so good. And these are homegrown cows or steers, whatever we call them. They eat grass, no synthetic, no nothing like that at all. Period. It's just the good stuff. The good stuff.
That's the way to go.
No.
Well, the vegans will sure hate that.
I'm sorry. Hey, you can be a vegan, and I cannot. We all good.
Exactly. We had a vegan on last week, and she's always fun. Rosita, she sits in the hot seat and she takes it. But we had a little back and forth with her. I'm more of a carnivore myself, so we.
Sure.
Yeah, if she heard you talking about cows, she'll probably blow her lid.
All right. And I just tell her, hey, calm down, breathe a little bit. Woosah. Woosah. It's gonna be all right.
All right, so I got a couple more quotes for you.
Holla, man.
You said contracts. That's my specialty.
Yes, sir. What
so?
about contracts?
What's the importance of contracts, and how can we get better at them?
It defines the roles for all parties involved. Roles, responsibilities, standards, how to exit the contract, how to exit the partnership. What happens if there's death to one of them? It covers all of the roles, so it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the partnership. You don't want it to exist in what I call assumptionville, because then what happens is your assumption, Nick, or your assumption, Julius, may be different from mine. Now what? We had a conflict now, but that was if that was in the contract. Oh, no problem. Hey, Liddell passed away, unfortunately. Hey, it said X, Y, Z. Let's go and do it. There's no need.
That'll save you worlds of legal and other headaches you couldn't even imagine. I see my dad in business go through hell with that kind of thing.
It will.
That's great advice. Yeah. Okay, so this might be my favorite quote from the whole show. This was towards the end, and Paulie was being very renegade, rebellious, kind of like trying to rally the people. I don't know. I don't want to paint him in any sort of way. That's my dude. But you said, "Hey, Paulie, I'm the dude who'd be like, here go 10, go be a warrior. Here goes some land, go be a warrior."
For sure.
What's that attitude all about?
Any revolution needs a financier. It needs capital behind it. Think about it. Let's go back to the Revolutionary War. No, I even say I use the current one, the Ukraine war. Who's funding that war for us? For them? Mainly America and some of Europe as well, right? But we're the biggest benefactor, right? So even modern day, you see, it takes money to fund a revolution. But money will only follow a revolution that has value and a vision that everyone can get behind. That's what I was saying. Hey, you can go and do what you want to do. Here go the money. Go do it, babe. Come back more if you need some.
For a warrior out there, that is the most empowering feeling in the world, to have somebody like you that's got some financial muscle. You feel comfortable if you want to put behind it. So
Think about it. BLM, financially behind them. LGBTQ, financially behind them. Antifa, financially behind them. Every
Women's March.
revolution, Women's March. Civil rights movement, there was financially behind them.
Yep.
There was some money behind that. Come on, let's stop the cap. Let's stop it. There's money behind any revolution.
Yeah, there must be. I think I told you this quote last time. My dad, because I used to be super rebellious trying to go against the system when I was a kid. And my dad always told me, son, sometimes you got to play the game with the rules as they are when you get there in order to earn a seat at the table where you can start changing them.
There you go. You can't walk into someone else's room and say, I want it like this. It ain't your room. It's their room. You just walked into the room. That's why
the game with the rules. Yeah.
I partnered with a good friend of mine, and what he did was he has an office here locally, and it's in the wealth management space, because we do have TI10 wealth management as well, because I get asked all the time how to manage wealth, and I was all right, I'll help you out. But he wanted to partner with us. I said, okay, let's partner together. And his platform allowed for me to scale the business. I'm all about scaling a business, how to create opportunities for other people to plug into. And he has a rule in his office. Well, you have to have a blazer on and no tennis shoes, or I'm sorry, no slacks. And I said, okay, we can meet in the middle. No problem. I don't put on suits. I can, and I have great suits, but I won't. Here's what I do. I'm gonna put on some jeans. I have my tennis shoes on, like you have yours on. I put on a nice shirt, whether it be a polo or button up, and a blazer. That's it. He said, that's cool with me. And so I can't come in dictating a standard in an office that I don't pay rent for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And if everybody else is playing by the rules in that game, they're not going to respect you if you come in trying to say, hey, I don't have to follow the rules, or what are the rules? No, this is the rules we follow. If you want to have a say in here, you're going to have to follow them too.
Yeah. And let me kind of pick it back a little bit on scaling a business, because I ask all the time, Liddell, what does scaling a business look like? I always say, well, scaling means to be able to create opportunities, a platform for people to plug into, so they can also create opportunities for everybody else. So it's it's an opportunity type of scenario for everybody can plug into. Now, the first thing you got to do when it comes to scaling a business is you got to be vulnerable enough to say, I don't know what I'm doing. You got to be coachable. So that separates an average business guy from or lady from a great business lady or guy is vulnerability. Being able to say, I don't know it all. And so in wealth management space, I know a lot, but as far as scaling that type of business model, I don't know it all. And so a Matt Zapala is somebody that I can partner with. I partner with and say, Matt, teach me the game. Now I'm gonna know very quickly how to do it, but teach me your system so I can scale. And because here's the two things. This economy is going to hell in a handbasket. Quarter 2 and quarter 3 is going to be eye-opening for a lot of people. There was a report that came out that I believe in the Wall Street Journal that in the last 24 months, I believe, the Americans have lost $2.7 trillion worth of wealth in their homes.
And do you foresee that continuing on a bad trajectory, Liddell?
Yes. The reason why is because the Fed chairman came out and he said that his goal is to get down to 2% inflationary rate. That ain't gonna happen. So he said that I'm gonna continue raising the rates till we get to that point. So in other words, raising rates means that capital gets more expensive for that entrepreneur, for the person that actually wants to buy a home. What that does is you've seen the real estate space kind of come to a halt. The refinance space of homes is gone. It doesn't exist. It's down 90%, 95% most likely now. It's crazy.
And that's because the loans are too intense for people to take on.
Think about it. 12 months ago or 18 months ago, you could borrow money at a 2% interest rate, 2.5%, 3%. Now it's 6%.
Whoa! I didn't know it inflated like that.
6%. I see it going to 8, maybe even 10%.
Oh my God, that's 4 to 5 times the amount.
Yes.
How short a time? What did you say it was? 2%?
probably that was 18 months ago, I believe, and I may be off on my time frame. 18 to 24 months ago,
more or less. Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
But
Holy
but
crap.
now we're here because of the environment that the economy is in. You have a higher taxation because inflation is a stealth tax. It taxes you without even seeing it. Right. Number two, higher regulation standpoint. You see that in the energy sector. Okay. One of America's biggest things they extend on is they were energy independent. Everything flowed on what they call the petrodollar. In other words, any country in the world could not buy oil without converting it over to dollars.
They had to pay in U.S. dollars. Yeah. So that made our we had some value in our otherwise valueless dollar, right?
Exactly.
That's
gone.
why
Yeah,
I'm always
exactly.
here. I believe during Trump's administration, we were energy independent, right? But now with the Biden,
that was one of the major feats of his presidency, for sure.
What energy independent mean? What that meant, Julius, real quickly, is that didn't mean that we're not buying oil from other places like Venezuela, because Venezuela actually has a more robust refining system than the U.S. does. So we do actually buy from other countries. Energy independence just means we didn't have to.
Right. They didn't have us buy that, so to speak. Biden changed that real fast.
Oh, he had to because of the green energy garbage, yeah. And I'm gonna say it's garbage, yeah.
So to be energy dependent, what does that look like? I mean, just to kind of
energy dependent means that if the U.S. is needing, I'm making a number up, guys. Let's say 100 million barrels a day, making something up. And we can only, because of the regulations, generate 20 million barrels a day. Where's that 80 coming from?
Whoever we can barter it from. And they're going to charge you an arm and a leg because they know they got you over a barrel. No pun intended.
That's it. That's it. But whenever you have Saudi Arabia, OPEC, not returning phone calls to the president of the United States, let me go to voicemail. You've lost your whole
That's outrageous, right?
I'm like, what is this? Now you have China not even answering the phone call to our Secretary of Defense.
Bad. That's a bad situation. I think any layman can see that. That's not good.
It's just trash. I say that, guys, to say this here. Inflation is going to continue to go up. Now, people may say, well, it's coming down month over month. You don't measure inflation month over month. You measure it annually. That's what people don't get. So Biden is saying, well, inflation went down. It's went down the last 4 or 5 months. Yeah, you're correct, but that's not how we actually determine the inflationary rate. And you know that.
Well,
it's annually.
He's manipulating he's spinning by doing that. Yeah.
That's how he's doing.
Yeah, well, now you got Americans saying this.
There's always good sound effects in.
So watch this. This is how you know that there's been a lot of spin going on. And I'd be saying the same thing if this was a Republican administration. All right. What's the spin? The spin is very simple. When you hear the president of the United States or the press secretary saying inflation is going down, I mean it's going well, and I'm like, wait a minute. When you got in the office, it was around, like, I believe 1.4%. That was the inflationary rate. So it was below what the Fed cooks in their books. They actually project a 2 to 3% inflationary rate on an annual basis. When Trump left office, it was 1.4.
So they inherited considerably lower than the prediction.
Yes.
Okay.
Then it went up to 9.1%, a 40-year high. Then it went down to right now it's at 6.5%, I believe. And so they're bragging about it's coming down.
From 90. From 90.
What is this? Like, what is this? This is laughable.
Liddell, is there any way that they can justify this to a reasonable economist or somebody that works? Is there any sensibility to it that they can get out of it saving face?
No, the only way you can kind of save face is if you pay them to say something. I never trust an economist.
Oh no, I'm saying like the guys like in charge, like Biden and them, with somebody who like knows the market like you, whatever you would consider yourself a market player. Is there any way that a reasonable market player could justify their acts like that Biden has done and whatnot to bring this about?
Yes, if the inflation is helping them. In other
Oh,
words,
deep answer.
in other words, for instance, the Inflation Production Act, not reduction, Production Act. Okay, all that was a Green New Deal fiasco. That's all it was.
Hey,
So,
for those the layman at home, the Green New Deal. If you could like maybe put it in layman's terms or sum it up, what is the danger of this?
well, the Green New Deal, their whole thing is how can we get America off of fossil fuels or natural gas and on over to green energy or electricity. That's a problem with that whole assumption. Number one. Number one is you actually need fossil fuels to generate electricity. Uh, uh, and number two, if you're so concerned about pollution, you understand that you have to go over to other countries to dig this stuff out,
Yeah,
and you're destroying the earth, green energy,
it's not
and
renewable.
it's not renewable, and there's not enough of what you're looking for. That's not me saying this. This is actually people that actually in the business that we don't see in CNBC. And I
Yeah.
actually did a Accountable podcast on green energy and fossil fuels, and I debunked all of this. And it wasn't me speaking for my opinion. I'm using their words, them saying this. So it's this. I'm repeating what they're saying. It's not enough. Like one of the biggest fallacies was this here. Well, wind can actually come from the ocean and can power your solar panels. And the guy was like, I have solar panels. No, it's not. These things suck. These things are terrible.
The
And
technology
after 25 years, I have to discard it. And that's highly terrible for the planet because there's so much of the stuff that's been made. It kills the earth. I'm like, I'm gonna say it. This Green New Deal, this Green Deal, and this green energy push, it is a big fat grift. That's all it is.
I actually have neighbors. So before we started this, I was like, I got neighbors right here. I looked across and I'm like, do they have solar panels?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, is that ideal? Because my neighbors are no look. If they ever come across this video, my neighbors I think are.
Well, let me get some balance. I'm not saying that solar energy is a bad thing. No,
Right.
It's not meant to be the main source. It's meant to be supplemental.
Yes.
Okay.
They're presented as the main source, and so
Sorry, neighbors.
so for me, I always say, like, whenever we're gonna make a private equity investment, a venture capital investment, the one thing we like to invest into growth companies. In other words, they're out of the concept stage, and they've had a proof of concept already. So we don't have to go through that whole exercise. We know that this concept and business model, it actually works. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is I always say, why is that thinking not ever brought into government? Why do we have to
argue because they don't want it?
There it is. They want to. They always. Here is what the elites normally do, and I noticed this. Is what they do is whenever they say something, you never have to. They never have to prove that it works, right? Now, why is that? It's very simple. Because they're good in service is what they say. That's it. If it doesn't work, it's not because of it's not because of them, because their good in service is what they said. That's it.
All they offer is lip service. They don't do anything.
And that's their good in service. So therefore, if Nick is an elite and Julius is someone saying, wait a minute, this ain't working, or someone that the elites have picked to run said program, Nick's whole service is, I'm going to tell you that it's good for you. It's going to be great for you. I'm going to go on the TVs and sell it. No problem with it at all. His good service is done. Julius then comes in and tries to execute it, and it didn't work. It's not Nick's fault. It's Julius's fault.
Of course not.
Because Nick's whole service was telling you that it's going to work.
Yeah.
So they'll say, it's not my fault. We have to get rid of Julius and put someone else in there. So they never have to prove their concepts.
So as the elite, I'm like, don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah. So instead of supply and demand, it's lie and command.
Oh, Julius, that's good, bro.
That's good. That's good. Yes, sir. All the time.
One
that's the whole thing.
I always distinguish. I don't like calling these POSs elites. I like calling them elitists, like a
Okay,
racist or whatever. I always
I
like
agree
to
there.
distinguish that. I think that's a good thing we could maybe all start doing. They're not elite. They're elitists. They think they're elite.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I agree with that term. My thing is this: here is if you cannot prove that the concept is working, are you really elite?
Exactly. They're elitists. They like to claim they're elite, but they're not.
No,
There's nothing about them that's elite that you can
can't
prove.
be can't be trusted. Can't be trusted at all. Nope, no sir. Sorry. That's why whatever I hear economists say, this is what's going to happen. I do the exact opposite every time.
I had a popular tweet that kind of blew up a couple years ago. It said something like, "If the mainstream media tells me to duck left, I instinctively jump right to protect myself before assessing the situation further."
That is correct. That
Whatever
is
I tell you,
correct.
it's the opposite. It's probably true.
I agree. Yes, you're spot on. Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
we got about 10 more minutes to have you on, Adele, for the first hour. I know you got things to do with your family
It's
and
all
things.
good, man. It's all good. If we go over, that's fine. Go ahead. You good?
Okay. I want to kind of just jump in. Here in the Age of Men podcast, we tend to talk about relationships and the
Sure.
differences
Call
between
boys.
and whatnot. I wanted to kind of understand from you, because there's this talk now, popular talk about polygamy and monogamy, and men should have multiple women, and mind you, to each their own. You know what I mean? To each their own. I want to know from you what is important about being in a more traditional marriage, and how are we able to make that successful?
I'm going to begin with the. That's a good question. Number one, I'm going to begin with the sex portion. Okay, because that tends to be where the lion's share of the discussion kind of goes to. You have a train of thought that says men should be getting bodies. In other words, sleep with as many women as you can. Uh, and I said, okay, let's walk through that from a scientific standpoint. Okay, whenever you actually have sex, it actually triggers a substance in your mind. And my wife told me what the substance was, but I forgot what it was called. Right? But I think it begins with a D.
It might be dopamine or serotonin or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Dopamine is what it is. And she said what that does is it triggers. It's like a hit. It's like a hit. And so whenever you're actually going out getting bodies, just living with several men or women, you're getting a hit like a drug. That's why sex is addicting. And its function is to be addicting. That's it. That's its function. Sex is supposed to be addicting. But what happens is as you begin to sleep with all these men or women, you're getting this hit like a drug. Well, each time you begin doing you begin doing the drug, you want to hit again, and maybe even a harder hit,
Yeah, and
maybe
it
even a
becomes
harder hit.
less effective, less enjoyable, more
Exactly.
dependent on it.
So let's say, for instance, you decide to get married, okay, and that husband or that wife is not, and you guys are sexually intimate, and that hit is not coming like it needs to come. What are you going to normally do to try to find that hit? Go outside of the marriage. You may look into homosexuality. You may
Degenerate, kind of
look at
all sorts of things.
Yeah. You may look into bestiality.
Yeah.
Uh, it is sex is meant to be addicting. That's the reason why it should be in the confines of marriage.
Hmm.
Because, and also if you go to a value standpoint, whenever you begin to make these decisions to sleep with several partners over and over again, well, what's happening is you're not really looking at the partner's value at all. And number two, you begin to cultivate decision making traits, right? That can be very destructive.
Mm.
Because what's happening is you're looking at this person and this person and this person as really a piece of meat, as
Yeah.
as a prize.
Someone brought this up about pornography. They said that when there's lots of people who are still addicted to pornography. When you watch pornography and so much of it, when you go out in the world, you tend to look at, like, if a man's watching a lot of pornography, right? He goes out to the world and starts to look at women the same way he sees them on pornography.
That's right.
Mm.
That's right. You bring that into the bedroom.
Wow.
I would say me and my wife lead a marriage ministry. We actually serve in a marriage ministry at our local church,
Huh.
and it's a service. It's a ministry called Reengage. And it's for any couples, whether you want to communicate better, you have sexual intimacy problems, or you on the ropes. And as I'm talking to the men, and also my wife talks to the women as well, a lot of the men that's actually when I got bodies, they struggle with the same reality of not looking outside of the marriage, whether it comes to porn or exploring other partners. They look at that as a way to fulfill them, but that's not its function. And all of a sudden now they're on the ropes now. So now I'm having to ask questions and say, where's this coming from? And it all leads back to their view of sex itself every single time. Every time.
So something I heard a while back about men who, and again, we're not knocking anything. I'm not knocking anything. I know people will watch this podcast and think that the ideas of others are the ideas of me and Nick. And we're just asking questions. I heard a while back that men who sleep with lots of women do it because they're looking for the love of a mother through a woman.
But why couldn't
That's
they
a
just have
possibility.
one? You know, maybe one woman instead of a lot of women. You know, maybe. I don't know.
Well, each woman that they're sleeping with, it's like, because if they didn't have the proper parenting in the home, then it's like, for example, especially if like the father's not around, whatever the case, the mom's like the angry mother, whatever the case may be, men will sleep with lots of women because they never had a father figure to actually know what it's like to actually demonstrate that traditionalism in the home. So when they have sex with a lot of women, because they're looking for something through a woman.
That makes sense.
Potentially, it really depends on the history. They always say there's a history behind every decision made. Unpack the history, and you get to the core problem. And so that premise, Julius, may be correct. A lot of men that I know sleep around with a lot of women that I've known in the past, because in their mind, they've been taught, "Hey, man, go get that girl, man. It's about the draws. That's it. The draws, man." And so I always ask, why are the draws so important to you? Why is it so valuable to you? And a lot of them said, "Man, I don't know." But because that's your whole vision statement. Get the draws. Why is it so important to you? It's so important to you that you actually built your whole foundation on women on that whole premise. So why is it so important to you?
And it's wrecking your lives sometimes. Like, it's wrecking your lives. Why are you chasing it? What is it giving it to you? Wow, Liddell, you brought so much. You're always profound, but man, you brought a lot tonight.
Oh man,
yeah. I mean, something. So okay, I want to follow up with that because again, I'm always just curious to kind of dive deeper into this kind of conversation. I'm curious because there's arguments out there saying that sex is not the same for men that it is, excuse me, with women, because ultimately it comes down to the women. They're the gatekeepers of the sex, whereas the men are the gatekeepers to relationships. So when the man has sex with a woman, it's like there's something about him that she let him in. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, but with a woman, if she's having lots of guys just coming through, if you will, it looks more bad on her than it does on the guy, because most guys don't get women like that. So the ones that do make it look like they're the prize because they got that female. Whereas the females can get any guy they want to. Even if she's not that great looking, she can still get any guy she wants to.
Well, I would say the premise on sex, in my opinion, is off. And I'll offer a logical conclusion to that, is when you begin to look at sex as it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Sex in its proper context is not for you. It's for the other partner. In other words, I'll give you an example. My wife, when we are, I call it bedside Baptist. When we are intimate, for me, it's not about me getting off. It's about me serving her. And likewise, it's not about her getting off. It's about her serving me. That's what sex is about. It's not about you. It's about the other person.
That's beautiful. It's so common sense you say it, but like that is so beautiful, man. That's really.
And think about it as you presented it, Julius. And correct me if I'm wrong. As you presented it, it's about the woman. It's about her, and it's about me, and that's leading to chaos, right?
I can see that. Again, I'm not trying to like condone one or
No,
the
it's
other.
okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying that like that's why I kind of hear the conversation being is that there's that
Understand.
difference because when a woman has sex with multiple men, she's unable to pair bond with the last guy she gets with because
Mhm,
then it's like that comparison. You're not like my ex or my ex was doing this. Like this guy did
mhm.
this for me. This guy did that for me, and she's like expecting the last guy to kind of do things the other guys did. You know what I mean?
Now, Julius, notice you just brought up a comparison scenario of in this context. He's not like my previous person. That's chaos. That's chaos because of the fact that now you put in an unwarranted standard on someone else that was not involved in that previous act. How's that fair
Yeah.
to that other person?
Yeah.
So
It's
then,
not.
okay, so then to that, then is it fair to say that sex is different between men and women because if women are the ones who would be comparing, because I only see men often comparing unless it's like sexual. Oh, she don't give me head like the last woman. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the woman is comparing more about the resources, the man's comparing more about the sexual part.
Well, both sides are looking at sex as in the context of mine, 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 mine.
Mm.
And you will never be fulfilled because it's all about you. Last time I checked, whenever you're having sex, there's two people, right? It's not
I
just you,
mean, I
right?
mean, is it fair to say that women can have sex with multiple men at one time, and men can only have sex with females one at a time?
Julius, keep this going. I'll be back in 1 second. This is
No,
great.
no,
Yeah,
you can actually do that. But what happens is then you invite in a variable that you weren't prepared for, which is what chaos. Because now you're back in the comparison. If you
yeah,
have multiple parties at one time, all of a sudden this person is not doing like this person. That's chaos.
yeah,
That's going to lead to chaos. Now you may walk out feeling fulfilled, but now there's a variable that you have not been prepared for, which is what that dopamine. The dopamine now you've
yeah,
created a standard in your mind that if you bring that next person has to fulfill that hit, but they don't
yeah,
know about that hit.
yeah,
That's science. That's
yeah.
science.
Yeah, because I was talking to Nick about this, and it's like I'm not trying to like push back on the red pill movement. I just think what gets muddy because again, I'm always willing to listen to everybody's conversation.
Sure.
I think what gets muddy is the polygamy talk because now men are starting to talk about. Again, I'm not knocking men. Anybody watching this, I'm not knocking the men for polygamy. I'm just saying I think what gets muddy based on conversations I listen to is the polygamy talk. Because at one
Sure.
point it was conversations about traditionalism.
Sure.
God, Christ, man, woman, children.
Sure.
When they bring
Mhm,
that back, but
mhm.
now it's become this space where it's like men want to have sex with multiple women.
Sure.
The argument is it's been that way since the beginning of time, right? But
Sure.
for women, they say, well, if you want to have sex with multiple women, why
Mhm.
can't I have sex with multiple men? So the argument gets brung. It's like, well, sex is not the same. That's the only double standard that doesn't benefit
I would say
women.
this here. I can understand that premise. I would say this here is if you want to have that as your reality, in other words, I want the freedom to have sex as many people as I want to. Okay, be okay with not having peace.
Mm.
Be okay with chaos. It's going to be your best friend. You will never be fulfilled,
Interesting.
ever. Be okay with that.
Okay.
Be okay with that. If you're okay with that, cool. Be okay with the cost of that decision. Now, is there a cost for someone that actually says I'm going to sleep with one woman? Yeah, it's a little bit of a cost because of the fact that you are saying I'm going to forego the temptation of sleeping with this woman before I'm married. That's a cost to that. But
Okay.
I'm looking at the cost analysis. Well, will that lead me to peace? Yes. Because
Mm.
why? From a scientific standpoint, why? I'm not comparing that person to nobody at all. Period. I'll get that dopamine hit, and that hit is going to be tremendous with my wife. It's going to be wonderful, and now she's the standard. She is.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it? And then I'll ask you this last question. Is it?
Good.
Is it fair to say that people who want to have sex with multiple people that
Mhm.
causes chaos? But is it fair to say that even with that one woman, there can still be chaos?
Oh yeah, of course.
All women are chaos. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hot take.
And I'll say this here: chaos is not confined to one gender.
Facts.
It can come from a
I agree.
man or the woman.
Mhm.
And so to answer Julius's question is, even if you're married and you have one wife and one husband, yes, chaos can be present. Why? Because last time I checked, you got two people coming together saying I do, and both of you suck. And you're trying to learn how to suck less.
Oh.
Every single time. So in the Bible, when Paul said, if you get married, you will encounter trouble, he's saying that you both suck and you're coming together trying to suck less. That's it. And I'll give you an example. When we got married, my wife and our anniversary is coming up actually on Saturday. It'll be 16 years.
Hey, happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. And what happened is I played college basketball, right? And so for my family, sports was a big thing. We shut everything down. We all in on the tournament, all in on the NCAA tournament. We all in. And so when I got married, we got married March 3rd. And so what's happening on March 3rd? March Madness. So I'm like, all right. So I come home from the office. I'm like, I'm going to sit down and watch the game. You better get it in. My wife was like, player, come on in this room. Let's talk. Wait a minute. The game is on. Like, what you talking about?
Are you forgetting about something today, honey?
Yeah. She's like, I don't get about none of that. You home with me. I ain't seen you all day. Let's get it in. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And so there was some contention there. But all it was is I didn't do a good job at communicating to her how important NCAA was for me. And she didn't communicate to me how important for her is, hey, when you get home, can I have some time?
Yeah.
And so I said, oh, okay. But it wasn't until a older man told me, hey, Liddell, let her know how important that is to you and say, hey, honey, if I talk to you for the first half, can I at least watch the second half? Cool. No problem at all.
Negotiate your relationship a little bit.
Compromise. She said, cool. Now guess who watched the games with me? My wife. The whole game.
That's dope. That's cool.
The whole game. We filling out brackets. We competing. It's all good. All because of the fact that whenever you are married, whatever I said I do, I became second. Whenever she said I do, she became second.
That is a great attitude. That is a great approach to life. That's a great philosophy for life. I like that. I never heard it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Nick, we have on the guest for the second hour, do we?
Yeah, I got a friend, a young lady, and I think she has another young lady friend with her. So we're gonna. I like throw curveballs at Julius. Julius is some guest in the back. He's like, I guess we have a guest now.
I have time. If y'all want to keep me on, that's great. If not, I'm cool.
Yeah, we'd love to have you stick around.
Yeah, should we bring the guest on with Liddell as well?
Go ahead.
Without further ado.
All right, hey, I was trying to make it easy for Liddell. Cool. Nick, I don't know nothing about. So if you don't want to do a little intro, we could bring them all in. So who are these?
This is a young lady named. She goes by Gab. I'm not sure if that's her real name or not, but she's got a lot going for her. I don't want to reveal her age necessarily. We'll see let's just bring her up and let's see how much. Because
can they hear us backstage? Can they hear us backstage, ladies? Can they hear us? I don't know if they can hear us.
Thumbs up, ladies, if you hear us.
Okay, right on.
Just bring them on.
All right, we'll bring you guys on. So, cool. Let's do it.
Hey, girls.
What up? What up?
What
are
you
guys
doing?
Gab 1 and Gab 2.
Hi.
We actually have the same name.
Good to have you guys on.
What's that noise?
It's an applause.
It's a crappy sound effect of applause that doesn't sound. We're working on our setup over here.
Do what we can. Do what we can. So we're bringing you guys on the Age of Men podcast.
I talked with Nick a lot on Discord and on TikTok, and I was supposed to come on a few times and I fell asleep. But now I think it's even better because I have my best friend Gab number 2 here We actually have the same name. We're very similar.
Cool.
So I think it'd be cool.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know you said the age thing. I'm 22. She's 25. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And
Right
as
on.
much or as little as you want to tell us about what you're doing professionally or school or what are your interests?
Yeah. So I mean, if you guys want to introduce yourself to the crowd, just let us know your name, age, occupation, and dating status.
Okay. Wait,
Yeah.
dating first?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a great little last. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, okay.
Great one, Julius. Julius is throwing curveballs at him already.
No.
Like that was a curveball, but okay. So my name is Gab.
Gab
Gab
two.
2. You can
The
call me
Gab
Gab 2.
squared kind of deal.
And
Like a thing one and thing two.
yeah, but we're not things. But yeah. And I went to Columbia engineering, and I studied math, and now I'm a software developer.
Congrats.
Damn, so
what I
you're
did.
smart as hell like this one is. Oh my, okay, we got 2 smart girls. on
Harder
here.
than me.
I don't think
Wow.
so. But
Yes, you are. So I'm Gab number 1. I studied same thing as her, engineering, applied math, but I'm going into law, because I don't know how to program for shit.
And you have a pilot's license too, right?
Yeah, I do.
She has so many. She's accomplished more than I have.
Oh, really?
I-
A pilot license, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Congrats.
Okay.
Look at you. All right now.
So
And then what was you guys' dating status? Single? What was it?
I'm widowed.
She's a widow.
Oh,
Really?
Okay.
Wait, are you
Yeah.
trolling us or is that for real?
Not
No.
trolling you.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing with that? You doing all right with that?
Mm-hmm.
It's been almost
2 years.
almost 2, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost 2 years. And then for me, I mean, I've never been married. But
Are you single?
I don't know.
Amazing.
Translation: I'm talking to a guy, but I'm just not sure if he's the right guy.
It's complicated.
No, it's just like I haven't had a serious boyfriend in a few years, and the
Okay.
last serious boyfriend I had told me that if I were to get pregnant and I didn't have an abortion, he was going to kill me and the child.
I'm not with him anymore. Yeesh.
No, yeah, I dumped his ass. Fuck no.
Good.
So currently, right now, you're single.
Technically, yes.
Julius is
AKA,
like JLP. He's got to get that answer. He's gotta-
AKA, I'm seeing somebody, just not sure he's the one.
So, ladies, how do we feel your pool is for possible dates or mates or whatever in the market today? How do you guys perceive that?
Wait, I didn't hear.
Okay, how do you guys see men when it comes to like dating or mating or whatever nowadays? What are your options looking like out there?
What do you mean? Like, what are my options looking like?
Like, do you feel like you have a plethora of like good suitors to pick from, or is it sparse? You know, any
Yeah.
other-
So basically, in today's dating world, how do you guys see men?
So
It's hard because you're a widow. Like, I feel like that's number one.
that's
like,
going to skew it for sure.
It is
And you can add that nuance to
it's
your
like an outlier on the.
like I need like a more specific question than
Okay, I got you. This is for you specifically as a widow. Are you finding yourself having a hard time getting back into dating since all of that, or are you kind of maybe getting through the grieving process and starting to consider it, or where are you at?
My grieving process was expedited due to facts I discovered after the death.
Oh crap! I don't mean to pry, but that sounds kind of interesting.
Prostitutes,
He was
cousins.
screwing prostitutes, and
Amazing.
literally he was extremely abusive during the relationship.
He threw chairs and like at her.
He like tried suffocating me once.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't know about that. I knew about the hair.
How is Gab number 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you processing with all this new reality?
So I was
How you
really
processing
sad,
it?
obviously, like right after, and then as his wife, I received all of his phone, all of that, and I was able to
Yeah.
see the way he spoke about me to his friends. So like arguments that were really difficult for me with him,
Yeah.
like where he would literally be like, haha, screw that bitch, I tricked her. Like the way he would talk about me, like
Damn.
he enjoyed like causing like severe problems, and he'd be like, I made her say sorry for something I did, ha ha ha. Like, and also he was talking to like a million girls, like just in the most disgusting way.
First cousin.
And I kept like literally a primary thing in our relationship would be like, I would be like uncomfortable repeatedly around him in like any situation. Like we'd be in public and I'd go to the bathroom and I'd come back and somehow I'm uncomfortable with the way that him and the girl sitting next, the table next to us are like the energy. So I'm uncomfortable. Sure. And he like literally made me feel like I was insane the whole time. Every single time he was picking up people like everywhere we were going. So
this is like bittersweet for you, maybe. Then that's got to be a weird spot to be.
I feel like
pretty sweet.
I feel like the universe did me a favor because once I found that out,
I was the first one to know.
Once I found that information out, it was like a complex grieving process, but it was like expedited because I'm kind of like,
like, you're over him. If you see
like, well, screw you. Like, I don't really. How bad can you feel?
How did you guys meet?
We literally met through a mutual friend, like Al. But he. Oh, I didn't even tell him how he died, right?
No.
Yeah, he committed suicide. So it's hard to feel bad for someone when their last act is just as selfish as their entire life. Like it's really hard to feel bad.
Hey, I get it. You have every
right to feel. I still feel bad overall because clearly he was struggling and clearly like he was like there's like a lot of complexity to what was going on in his brain and why he behaved the way he behaved. But at the end of the day, like you can go through a lot of different traumas, but you don't have to like traumatizing someone else is exactly how like the cycle gets perpetuated. And like that's
how much money did you raise? $40,000?
Oh yeah, $40,000.
$40,000
because I had to ship his
corpse.
Okay, so are you finding it easy then to start looking for other suitors? I would think so.
At first I didn't. I mean, like I feel like it doesn't affect me in the way that like you would think it does. Like it's not like I'm afraid to like be with someone because I'm afraid of them dying or something like that. It's not like that, but I definitely know to trust my like gut feeling because I always had a weird gut feeling around him and I was right about every single instance. Like I didn't even have proof. I just knew it. And I was literally gaslit so badly. And now I'm just like, if I see certain red flags, like immediately, I'll just be like, I just won't even continue talking to the person. It's just kind of like they're getting ghosted. Like that's it. Like
you just trust your instinct at that point. You don't need proof. You just trust your instincts.
You want a rule book on how to play me? Because why am I going to tell them this is what you're doing wrong, and then they know how to fake behave for 3 weeks and then like trick me? Like I'm not going to give someone a rule book on how to play me. Like you act right or don't. Sorry.
So Jules, can I ask a real quick question if you don't mind? Gap number 2. When you met him, what about him was valuable enough for you to say, let's begin a relationship?
He like I felt
nothing.
Gap 1.
I'm looking back,
there.
But like at the time, I thought so. He came from another country and he came here on his own and like did a high school program, and then I met him while he was in college, and I felt like he found a way to make money and work as an immigrant. I felt like that was like
the hustle.
Like someone who's not like didn't have everything handed to them, like they're gonna bust their ass. And I also thought he was intelligent, not as smart as me, but I thought he was intelligent. And like he was athletic. I feel like that's important for like to not age poorly. Like I feel like
hustle. So the hustle was important to you, correct?
Yeah. And also when I first met him, he was very romantic and I thought he was like funny, etc. And then obviously like that deteriorated over time.
What did you mean by he's not as smart as you?
Just like
she's like honestly, if I have to say,
I can't have the same level conversation. He doesn't even. He would say I was using big words in a condescending way.
She's like
genius IQ. I'm gonna I'm gonna say
We're
no.
so dumb that we have to ask, what do you mean by that?
Like-
what does that mean? Like, you have a genius level IQ and he's not as smart as you. Like, what does that even mean?
Like, I just mean, I'm not even talking about like how are we going to perform on a certain test. I'm talking about like when you speak to me, can you keep on pace with me? Like, can you take my point and can you further it, or can you comprehend it? And can you bring something new to the table? And like
Makes
I
sense.
felt
Extrapolate.
I felt like I was teaching him, like I wasn't learning anything new from him.
Quick.
And then also just emotional intelligence wasn't there, but he
Interesting.
would literally get offended by the way that I spoke and say that I was speaking in a condescending way because I was using big words.
Real quick, I want to touch on something you just said. Would it be important for you to have a man that you can learn things from? It sounds like not always have to be the teacher. That's important for you.
You're never gonna get someone who's exactly like, if you're saying I'm this smart and I want him to be exactly this smart. Look, there's gonna be more like you're not gonna find someone who I'm this attractive. I want him to this attractive, like the same traits.
Sure.
That's not what I'm looking for. It's just like someone that overall the picture like works. And I feel like it's not an equal partner if the person there's a significant gap in intelligence, because that's not.
So,
if they my business
Go ahead.
partner can't be my boyfriend. I don't like. Does that make
so
sense?
is it fair to say that maybe he wasn't not smart as you, but you guys just had different perspectives?
No, he's just retarded. a lot.
No, like he was.
Damn. Okay. God. Okay.
He was.
No, like
We turn up on hour 2 around here, apparently.
the things that he said were just not backed by any logic, and like he.
Sure.
So it sounds like, Gab, too, because of and let me know if I'm correct, okay? Because I don't want to assume nothing. Basically, the space that you kind of run in a very informational intensive space. I mean, look at the degree that you actually have. Look what you actually are involved in. And what you're wanting to say is, if a man wants my time, if he wants to really, for me to invest time with him, he has to kind of earn that a little bit on being able to have an intelligent conversation with me. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, because like
I don't think that's the right
it's
wording.
not earn. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, we hang out, and I feel like we're similar intelligence levels. We have totally different views on a bunch of different things. However, we can like. Hold on. Okay, we can hold competent conversations between each other, because when I am saying a point, she gets it, or she'll learn something new, and then she'll say something to me and I'll learn something new. Like, it's like
politically, her and I, like, we are like here and here, like we are,
but like we can just like calmly like have conversation and be like, oh, okay. Like, it's just about like, is what you're saying even making sense? Like,
sure.
How long were you guys together for?
Like 4 years.
Damn.
Did you know? So did he show you all this in the beginning?
No, like, so basically the reason I married him was by the way, this is totally legal, just to clarify, because I think there's a big misunderstanding.
Okay, I'm your lawyer.
But okay,
Go on.
He was an immigrant, so I saw him working really hard and being taken advantage. Like, he would work like 30 hours and he would get paid for 15 hours because they knew he was like, he didn't have a work visa, he had a student visa. I literally felt so bad, and I was so young. So at the time I was literally
Are you sure it was legal?
Don't cry too much.
I mean, I'm just saying.
What about okay, so
no.
it's not legal.
Go on, don't mind us.
Okay, so I felt so bad. So to me, it was like, okay, so all I have to do, because basically to get your work visa, you have to be in the process to get your full green card, because you can't just like get your work visa through something. Like, that's not how it works. So, well, you can apply for a work visa, but like through marriage, you can't. You have to do the whole process, green right? Card marriage. So I really just was like, I don't want him. Like, I'm seeing him work himself to death, and like not getting like, this is like, it's so sad to watch. So I'm like, oh, for me, what does it cost me? Right? Like, all I have to do is marry someone that I love, and like we either end up together or not, but it's like marriage under the pressure of green card is legal. You just can't be faking the relationship. That's illegal.
Right.
Okay,
Sure.
so let's get into something more. Oh, go ahead, Liddell. Do you have something you want to ask?
No.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
married. Go ahead. Just
I want to get into some more of like the juicy meat, if you will, for the kids here. Gab 1, how are your prospects when you're out there looking for men?
oh,
There we go. I knew I'd get to some dirt eventually.
so like prospects of men. I mean, honestly, you know, a lot of people, including you, men, don't like the you know, woman who is smart and like has a lot of.
Don't say that about me. That's not true.
No, it's actually true.
No, he said this to me. He said this. Anyway,
All right, go on.
just to go and introduce myself to you guys. So we did the same thing, applied mathematics in engineering school. She's now a software engineer, but now I'm going to law school. I have my pilot's license. Like, I pretty much, it sounds like, you know, I'm full of myself, but like we can do it all. And a lot of guys get intimidated by that.
I don't think guys are intimidated. I do think that guys just don't care. Like, not in a bad way. It's just that you can have 8 businesses and you can own a lot of things in life and do all these extracurricular activities. Men just don't care because we see the physical. Men see physical, women see resources.
Wait, can I respond?
Yeah, of course.
I would actually disagree there with that.
See, that's what I don't like, because someone told me that if I went on a date and someone told me they don't care about what I do. Listen, I'm not saying income.
A lot of hard fucking work.
I'm not saying like you've got to make a certain income. I'm saying you have to be like, it's what you were saying before, the hustle. It's like you're gonna work, and like I will respect if you're fucking an artist or whatever. Well, I don't respect someone because I think it's stupid. But if you're an artist and you're like you're like making like woodwork and you're like making beautiful work and you're making 60K, it doesn't matter that making 60K to me. That's like you have a lot of potential in the future, and it's like
the work in.
It's like you're on the same level because you are passionate about something. Sure. Men who don't care what they're like,
mate,
what they're doing. Like, if you literally do not care if the girl is a waitress and that's her only aspiration in her entire life, like, to me, that's like you want a pet. You don't want an equal partner. Don't you want someone who pushes you mentally?
No, they don't.
I would disagree. Is it fair?
No, but
you want someone
who is it fair to say that a man's currency is his resources and a woman's currency is her looks?
No.
Because honestly, I will say, I don't know you guys.
Own resources, you don't feel that way anymore as a woman.
Hold on, I don't know you guys other than Nick, but we are all. I mean, not all. Us two, we are more successful and younger than all of you.
We can financially sustain ourselves.
Well, not than Liddell. I'll say not. More than Liddell, but perhaps more than me. Yeah.
No, I know.
Right, but even so, even you just saying that, like, let's say we on a date and you say I'm more successful than you, that would turn me off because the fact that
no one's saying that on a date. It's just
I hear where you're coming from. I hear where you're coming from. Where you're saying,
no, I hear it too. I'm just saying, to me, like, saying that is, to me, would be like a red flag. Like, I'm more successful than you. Men don't care.
Well, no one says that on a first date.
First of all, I would never compare success like that. I literally just said before, it's not about income. It's not about. That's not what it's about.
Hustle.
It's about, like, you care about what you're doing and, like, are you putting your all into it? Like, what? That's literally what it's about. But it's just like someone on the same wavelength that, like, you two could be best friends and literally, like, just be life partners, but you're also attracted to each other. And so I don't need resources because I have my own resources. That's a nice plus, but, like, it's not required. I also don't want a bum. Don't get me wrong, but that's also because that a bum doesn't hustle. but
Julius, we gotta run the date simulation tonight.
Well, we'll get there. But see, that's where I kind of find a problem with. If it's not about resources, not about all this income, what's wrong with a bum?
Because I feel that at a certain extent, if you have literally tried doing something for 15 years, I'm saying
Mhm.
a bum to me is someone who literally is just like has no fire under their ass to like
Hustle.
move
There's-
He's
forward.
not a motivated man.
What if he has love for you?
Nothing.
What if he has love for you to give? Like, what if he has personality and love to give?
For everybody here, because I don't know.
Sure.
What do you guys do for a living?
Well,
Yes.
Julius.
I'm a commercial.
Yeah.
I know you, Nick. You're a painter.
Gotcha.
Yeah, to answer your question, I do a podcast. I do street interviews. That's what I do. I build up my platform on social media. Basically, a content creator.
Liddell. His name's Liddell.
Liddell. What do you do?
Yeah. I'm in real estate development and finance. I own a lot of real estate. I actually own about $35 million worth of real estate. I own a private equity firm, venture capital, about $1.2 billion worth of assets under management. We also deal with in wealth management as well on our private equity side. And so I do a lot.
He's also the umbrella branch of our media company that we're working under, Truth in the Marketplace.
No,
and Liddell, weren't you featuring?
I actually like ask him some questions if that's fine, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What city are you in? Because I used to work on Wall Street, like investment banking, work for a hedge fund, work for a big bank.
I'm in Dallas, Texas. What about you?
New York City.
New York City. I'm sorry. You live in New York. I'm sorry.
I know.
No, I have to use the restroom.
Okay, go ahead.
But can I say one thing and I'll get up?
Yeah.
Okay, Julius, when I say bum, I don't mean someone who makes under a certain income. I mean someone who literally does not want to work or doesn't have anything.
Thanks for that clarification.
Unmotivated.
So
No, I totally understand. I think men should be out there working. I'm just saying that I get a little bit. To me, it just sounds a little bit weird when I hear like, "Oh, I don't care about resources, but I don't want to bum." So you care about resources?
No,
I disagree with that.
Who made
Go ahead.
1/8 of what I make or less, but he can't provide me with more. Like I'm going to be providing for him technically resources, like in the end of it, but he provided me with like a lot of emotional stability, and also he was very dedicated to his work, and his work was. He was an artist and his work was very beautiful and I like really appreciated it. I like that is not a bum to me.
So you want somebody motivated with whatever their passion may be.
Like
grinding.
I'm not going to come home to someone sitting on the couch eating fucking popcorn when I worked all. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. What Gab too is if her principle is if man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. And so for her thing is, hey, just like I'm out here grinding, that same standard applies for you. You have to grind as well also. Yeah. Just like your standards for me to love you, you got to love me as well. I see the logic. It makes sense.
Liddell, I wanted to, she's going to be back in a second. I was watching earlier and something you said resonated with me because same thing happened to me. So you were talking about basketball, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And about, I don't know if it was like you're doing shitty or whatever, and like you couldn't eat that night.
Yeah. Well, no, it's my dad. I faked being sick.
Sick.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to say, because literally the same exact thing happened to me. What I played, I know when I say tennis, it sounds like tennis. No.
Oh no, my 10-year-old is diving into tennis. I think tennis is a great sport.
Yeah.
That's
so I played 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, every day for over 10 years. So I was at a very high level, and I actually wanted to come on and ask you about that because my father was the one like really pushing, like to the point where like I like ripped my Achilles open and like I was 10 years old. Anyway, but I remember losing a match or at a tournament and him locking me in my bedroom, not letting me have dinner or any food. I had to hop out my window at 10 years old, find cash.
That sounds a lot different than Liddell's, I'll just say.
I know. Well, I'll share it because it is crazy.
Go ahead, go on,
But I remember going through like literally being locked in my bedroom, going through my purses at
Mhm.
10 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, like my little Hello Kitty, like she did this as a joke, but actually like little Hello Kitty purses, like
Sure.
finding enough cash, like just dollars to
Wow.
order white rice from the Chinese restaurant. And I remember calling them and saying, you can't pull up the driveway, like you have to like I'll come meet you down the street.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a very healthy way to go
Oh
about
no,
it, right? That's what
not
we're
at
saying.
all. No, not at all. And I
Yeah.
did it for years and years and years.
Oh,
Still
well,
the love away from me from the game.
It
Wow.
did. It did. At one point, it did. I started off loving it, absolutely loving it. Like it was my passion in life. Like that was my passion. But you know, I feel, and I'm sure you know, like once you get to a point where it's like that,
Yeah.
you start losing it. You start losing your passion. You start losing your motivation. If like
Yeah.
you're like, wow, like I really love this, but is this what I'm gonna have to go through? Like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
That's how it kind of
So-
came to me.
Liddell, can you give any insight to any young fathers or coaches out there where they may find themselves trying to figure out how to walk that line of being a motivator and perhaps going too far?
Well, what my dad did for me is he asked me a qualifying question, or I call it a value statement. I said, Dad, I want to go to the NBA. That's a pretty big goal. And everybody and mama, when it comes to boys, wants to go to the NBA, play pro basketball. My dad said, son, are you sure? I said, yes, Dad. He said, that means it's going to be a lot of work. You want me to train you? Yes, I do, Dad. He said, I'm gonna beat your ass. Are you sure? Yes, Dad. So when I confirm the desire and the training techniques, and of course, littered with wisdom, because my dad, he didn't go far at all. He said, okay, I'm going to push you. And so that's how, when it came to him coming home from work, because he's investing time with me after work to train me. That's a lot of time.
So he needs to make sure you're serious about this. Yeah.
Exactly. He's qualifying his time. That's a great thing to do. And so I said, oh, okay. And when I faked being sick, he said, okay. He said, okay, now I'm going to see if you're really sick. Because he knew I love to eat. I love to eat. So he said, okay, if you don't go out and run a mile, you won't eat. Now, if I was sick, he'd be like, well, Dad, I really don't want to eat.
Right. But he was just testing you. He knew you weren't.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He said, okay, he ain't playing. Now, what happened to her, that's abuse.
Yeah.
That's 100% abuse. And I'm Gabon, I'm sorry that happened to you, because that stole the love from you for a short period of time. What you talked about, you could have been a great tennis player if cultivated the right way. In other words, like my 10-year-old, she wants to get into tennis, but I'm like, baby, are you sure? She, I am. So I have to look at it and say, okay, let me look at the desire. Is she wired for this type of pushing? Because it may not be her. My 14-year-old, she wanted to go ahead, Gab.
No, I just want to so. Anyway, so when I was 16, I had to get back surgery. Like fucked up my back real bad. Couldn't play anymore. Wow. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. But going back to like your daughter in tennis and everything, like I know for myself, at least when I have children, I mean, I want them to do what they want, obviously, if they're passionate about something. But I don't think, just because of what I went through, I don't think I could ever do the tennis thing with my child. I really don't think I could, because like going back to it, I mean, there's great things that came out of it. There's great things. Like I became independent. I became, very strong. Like I'm not emotional. Like I can show any emotion. There's some good things that came out of it, but I don't think they outweigh the negatives.
It's tough, because for you is when you think of tennis, all you can relive is the pain
abuse
of the abuse. So there's very little. The pain of the abuse outweighs the times that you enjoy playing, being out there playing, and these of nature. So I hate I had that happen to you. I really hate that happened to you. All I would ask, I would probably give you wisdom here is don't let your reality overshadow how your potential child may be wired. Because
No,
your
I know.
child,
I
if
know.
that makes
I
any
know.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm saying, if my kid is like, I want to do this so badly, like, yeah, sure. But like, I'm not gonna like push my kid into it in any way. And by the way, my father and I do have a very close relationship
Correct.
at
Really
this
good.
point because we've talked about it. I mean, when I did like tear my back open and when I was 16, the pressure went from tennis like to academics, and like that's how I kind of didn't have an option. I was forced into engineering because
Because your dad was
that's what
doing
he
the same.
wanted, and I
Well,
didn't have an option. It was like engineering or nothing. Like that's what you're gonna do
Jeff,
or nothing.
so Jeff, how do you take your experience from being raised by your dad in such a way, and you project that onto the mate you might want? What have you learned or taken from it?
I don't think so much it's like learning like it's not something I've learned for a mate. I would say,
Well, you might want those
but it's
opposite
more about
traits than
children.
what he had. Maybe you disliked what he did, so you would want to make it it's not like that, or maybe you liked certain. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well,
I feel like that's not something conscious.
I don't. Yeah, I haven't honestly. I haven't thought about that, but what I do think about is my children because that's kind of that was my dynamic. It was my father and me, and my sister she's 18, and my dad. I really like at one point laid the law down on him. I was like, "Do you realize how like fucked up this was?" And he apologized, like apologized.
That's good. That's good that you could do that.
That's great.
And like honestly, like I will get emotional because this is like
It's okay, hon. You're all right.
but my sister, she is beautiful, smart, like amazing, and I just know that she's not as I don't know if strong's the right word, but if what I went through with tennis were to happen to her, I don't think she'd be alive. And I tell my parents this all the time.
So what? Your dad had changed by the time he was raising her because she's a few years behind you.
She's 4.5 years behind me.
I think that happens with parents. It's like
Sure, okay, yeah.
first child effect.
Yeah, but also
they're always easier on the.
But like I like, although it was like miserable for me, I think about like my sister is like the most important person. Like I have her like tatted on me. Like we have each other tattered. She's probably the most important person in my entire life. I think about it and I am glad that it happened to me and not her because she wouldn't be able to deal with it. I mean,
so stick with me on this. So between the experience that you feel that you got compared to your sister from your dad, how might that affect the mate that you want to get? What would you want in a mate, that was more like how your sister was treated by your dad than you were?
I mean, I feel like the majority of majority of people out there, this is like a very niche area, in this like high level 24/7 basically traveling every weekend, like 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like this was not a lot of people do this. So as far as a mate, I would say like a husband or like
whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Sure.
Honestly, like because it is like it's very like niche. I haven't really thought about that because it's not common. And
then if I can't get you to answer that question, just one general thing that you learned from your dad in your relationship that would help you pick a man or not. Something, girl.
I think.
Go ahead, Julius. Go ahead, Gab. Too. Is that Julius or vice versa?
No, because the dynamic was father-daughter, not me.
It wasn't, but also the dynamic wasn't the way your father interacted with your mother. So if you're thinking like, I don't want a potential mate to do that to my daughter, how are you going to be able to tell? Because he didn't have the same And that's why I say it's a red flag when you want
Divorce
pet,
that
not a partner.
motherfucker.
Because he didn't have those expectations of his wife, but for his female daughter, he had ridiculously high expectations because he didn't want her to have to rely on any man. That's alarming.
But also, well, I'll answer the question real quick. It also comes from I think like some sort of you know, like he wants to kind of live, or he did want to live vicariously through me. Like, for example, he was going to USC full scholarship football, broke his neck like senior high school, broke like done. Luckily not paralyzed. He then did still go to USC. Don't know how.
But Gab, is there anything we can focus on relationship wise? That's kind of like what our show's about. That's why I keep steering back to that. I don't mean to be rude.
This is real quick.
Okay.
He then did go to USC first, not for football, obviously.
Sure.
But he got kicked out of the engineering school within his first semester. So, you know, I think answering your question, looking for somebody, partner, husband, boyfriend, whatever, somebody who, you know, is not jealous, is not trying to, you know, see, oh, can you do it? If I couldn't do it, let's see if you can do it. You know, like just someone that's just genuine and just wants the best for, honestly, children, our children.
Sure.
Julius and Liddell, you guys have something to say?
Yeah, I will say this here, and thank you guys for inviting me on, Julius and Nick. This has been a great show. Good stuff. And Gab 1 and Gab 2, interesting names. And I'm assuming that they actually is Gabriella. Is that right?
Gab.
It's just Gab. Okay, because my daughter's name is Gabriella. That's why I asked.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
And this one?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Small world.
But she's 14 and she began in soccer, and I said, okay, she want to play soccer, and I said, okay, no problem, she can be in soccer. And when I saw her going the wrong way with the ball and more concerned about how her socks looked in her shoes and posing for pictures, I said, this is not your sport. So we abruptly stopped that sport. But I would say, for you guys, you both have experienced some type of trauma or pain of some sort. I think everybody has. Let's keep it 100. And I think that Judas asked some good questions. I believe, Gab, too. You look at it, you having a standard of, okay, if he wants my hand, whether it be in marriage or for dating, what does your day-to-day operations look like? What are you grinding for? Be transparent with me so I can be as I'm transparent with you. So it seems like a lot of the times in your context, Gab, too, is most of the guys want you to be transparent, but not be transparent themselves. Would that be actually correct?
I mean, yeah, I think most of the guys that I've dated after have lied in different capacities.
And again, everybody, just keep it. When you're dating, you're selling.
Everyone lies.
You're selling. Yes, you're selling.
I would say that
Do you lie?
Sometimes.
I lie to myself a lot accidentally.
I'll lie because by omission, because I won't tell people that I'm dating that this happened to me, because I feel like either someone will want to take advantage of it because they'll be like, oh, like I could help her or something, or like they'll.
It's not lying. That's
or
just
they'll be like
not...
that's trauma. I don't want.
Well,
so
a lie of omission is still a lie, yeah.
That's an interesting debate to have. You could say.
Want to be like, I would tell someone after a long-term dating them, not like quickly on.
Yeah.
But honestly, the big thing is that I want someone. You guys probably won't like when I say this.
Hit us.
I feel like as a woman in engineering, you might think I have an easier time. It's really not true. When you get to a higher level, like senior developer, and you're leads of other men, you have to do a lot more to be respected, especially like if you're somewhat attractive looking. Like if you're like like whatever, like it's different. But like for someone even just like baseline, like 5 out of 10.
No, I fully understand what you're saying.
You're gonna have
women
to get
are judged by that. Yeah.
You're gonna have
so God too.
But so I feel like there's no excuse for someone who can't do as well as I've done. If I'm 25 and I'm dating someone who's 30 and they have 5+ years on me, there's no excuse why you're not emotionally as mature, why you can't do what I can do in like career wise, why you're not advanced career wise. There's no reason.
Too now.
But also I'm not gonna date someone who doesn't add to my life, so they need to add in some way. So
sure. But when you say that, for somebody who's 30 to not be where they're at, everybody's going through different stages in their life, even at 30,
but
40.
But if I'm on this pace, then you're not on my pace.
It's just hypergamy, Julius. Really,
that's not the fault. But that's not necessarily the fault of them. It could be because some things do happen. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying
literally everything working against me my entire life. I came from literally
sure. I understand.
Full scholarship.
But Gab too.
Literally everything. I had everything against me, and I'm not going to I'm not that rigid where I'm like you need to have whatever. But overall picture. They need to bust their ass, and they need to be doing.
I got you.
If I can do it, then equal for me is someone who can also do it. But also, you have to add to my life. I don't need finances, so you need to be emotionally mature, and I need to feel safe emotionally, and I need to be able to trust you, so that I don't have further issues based on what my husband did to me.
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Adele, go ahead.
So I would say this here is. I can understand you're saying, hey, I want someone that's out there grinding, rocking with you. I would say be careful with time being by measuring growth by time. Because then what you're saying is time is the teacher. And I know a lot of people that are younger that are a lot more smarter and better at executing at a higher level than those that are older. Would you agree?
Yeah.
That's another profound bar from Liddell.
Can you repeat
it all night?
He said.
Are you talking about women, or are you talking about all people?
I'm talking about all people.
Okay, so I'm saying that I don't want to look like for an older person to be on my level, because to me, if you are 10 years older than me and you're on my level now, like emotionally intelligent, hardworking, if you're like on all these like different scales, if you're on my level, but you had 10+ years, imagine where I'm going to be in 10 years. Like
I got you.
My thing is like you're deficient somewhere. If you're trying to date someone 10 years younger, you're actually deficient. There's somewhere you're severely. Why won't girls your age date you?
Okay, one more thing, Julius, because I know you're gonna get in. One more thing. Okay, can I give you a real quick example if you don't mind?
Sure.
My wife. I'm very good at resurrecting things from the dead. In other words, I can take a business or a concept, come up with an idea and bring it to life, right? Okay. I'm very good at that, or making sense out of chaos, bringing order. Brilliant. My wife is terrible at that, but she's a phenomenal manager. She's efficient. If it's ready to be, if it's developed, she can run the crap out of it. I mean, when I say she's great at managing things, she's awesome. If her standard was, you don't manage as good as I do.
No, it's not the same thing as me. It's in your own. It's in your own.
You bring
your
own
things
talents, to the table.
Your own talents.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if I'm at this level in my talents, then you should be somewhat comparable. You shouldn't be like. I try to do my job once a week. Like I'm not going to deal with that.
Okay, I'm saying. I got you.
So it's about the same skills. Complimenting skills is great. Like honestly, like it's the same exact thing as you. And my job is insane.
So is it fair to say that if you were to look for a man, is it fair to say that you're looking for a man that's equal to, if not greater than?
Like question. At least on your level, right? So yeah, equal to at least, right?
So let me ask you this.
everything. When you're weighing everything, when you're weighing how hard they work, how much
Sure.
how passionate they are, but also
It's the
how they
grinding.
treat you.
It's grinding.
How they treat you.
No, I get that. So let me ask you this, Gab, too. Do you want a man that's taller than you?
I don't care. I mean, I'd like my height. I'm only 5'7", so like, I mean, that's
tall.
Sure.
So equal to or taller?
Right. No, yeah. I'm just asking yes or no. Do you want a man that's taller than you? Yes or no?
Equal to or taller, right? It sounds like. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want a man that makes more money than you?
That's less important.
Doesn't matter.
So do you want a man that's more confident than you?
That's more what?
That's more confident than you.
Doesn't matter to me.
I want a man who's confident, but I don't know how to compare levels of confidence. I would like a man who's confident.
Sure. Well, I asked that question because I'm always curious if women want a man that's equal to it, or do they want a man that's kind of a little bit more superior? That's what I'm always curious about.
I think I've been very clear. I want an equal partner.
Well, we're just asking. It's just a radio show. We gotta ask questions.
Good.
I don't want someone that I think is way above out of my league, because not that I've encountered a man that I think is way out of my league, but
so how much do you make a year?
400.
If you don't mind speaking on that, like how much do you make a year?
You said it before. 400.
Yeah. She has to make a lot of money in New York. Got to.
That is a lot of money. That's for sure.
Okay, so you're making about $400,000 a year. Would you date a man that makes $90K a year?
Yes. If they made me feel emotionally safe, I was attracted to them. They worked hard. I thought their job was interesting. They were interested. Passionate. Interest. Like, we could work out together. We could do fun things together. It made me laugh. Absolutely.
Would you date a man that works at McDonald's?
No.
Why not?
Because to me, that's
where you work when you're 15, 16 years old. Do you have a passion
frying French fries?
Well, hold on.
What if he's hold on.
I used to work it.
Hold on. What if he's the manager or the CEO?
Thank you. Okay.
No, that's like, you can't compare that. You can't say like CEO of McDonald's like versus a fry cook. Like, what are we talking about?
No. Well, for fry cook, move up to CEO.
No, yes, you can't. That's not how it works.
Listen, it's more important to
Let
me
me give you some example.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What I'm saying is, guys, you can work well from a fryer to the general manager of a McDonald's. When I was in high school, I worked at McDonald's. They have something called hamburger university.
My father did as well. He got fired because he couldn't keep up with the fryer.
Well, what I'm saying is they were trying to get me to go to Hamburger University. That's a literal university. McDonald's, literally.
What?
Hamburger University. Yes, it is. It is, and they have a crazy business model. I love it. I mean, it's so good. Teenagers can run it. It's that efficient. But a general manager actually runs the store. You have an individual owner, a franchisee's owner, and you have a general manager, GM, that actually runs the store, and also an assistant GM. They have a district manager. District managers made, I believe, about back then was around like $90,000 a year. Now they're probably making about 150, 200,000. And then a GM of that store probably back then made about 75,000. Now they're making about 120, 130.
So as I said, it's not about the money. I think I should reframe like the concept of like, I want someone who hustles. I actually like in an academic way. Like, so when I do software, there are software engineers who they get a job at Google, Facebook, whatever, and they make a certain amount, they're content. I have literally like gone up the ladder, like company to company, like to the point where I'm like, my purpose, I want to feel purposeful. So when I do what I do, the like industry that I work in software, I want to feel like that's meaningful, it's impactful, and I'm creating something new. So you're not creating something new. You're not pushing the boundary of your field. If you are a general manager at McDonald's, I'm sorry, I don't care if you make $500,000.
There's a ceiling.
It's not,
like
to me,
hit the ceiling.
I rather you be a designer and you make like fucking phenomenal.
I got a perfect full circle question here. How often are you finding men that make to check all these boxes that you guys have?
Pretty often.
I think
It's New York City.
I think that
No, I'm asking for real. Tell us. Like,
I think
how often?
men that check like the
Majority.
like a lot of the boxes of like, okay, like I'm attracted to them. Okay, like they have a really interesting career. I'm interested in what they have a passion for it and they have a reason for being passionate about it. Like I think that I'm finding 9 out of 10 boxes, but I think the thing that's missing a lot of the times for men is that they think that they need to make a certain amount of money or they need to be like a certain things, and so they completely neglect the emotional component, and that is why men often want someone they don't care if they don't care if you're on the same level as them because they can't. Yeah. That's why a 35-year-old wants a 25-year-old because emotionally they expect. Maybe we'll be on the same level, and that to me is a problem. Why you 35 and you have so much in common emotionally?
Mm-hmm. But there seems to be a bit of conflict there because it's like on one hand you're saying the guy shouldn't be a bum, but on one hand you're saying it's not about the resources, but then you're saying he shouldn't work at McDonald's whether he's making $500,000. It seems like a lot of inconsistencies.
No, I don't think there's inconsistencies because I'm saying it's not about your income. I'm saying it's about being passionate about something that's important.
I'm following. I don't think it's inconsistencies. I think it's a lot of qualifiers, though. That's why I wanted to ask, like, how often do you find men to check all these boxes? Because it does seem like a lot of qualifiers, which is not bad. I'm not judging.
There's a lot of qualifiers to like you care about your job and you work hard.
But you had a whole list of things that you guys were going through.
What if that guy is passionate about McDonald's and he raises up, to what he's making?
It has to align with my values, right? Like if you are
what about his values?
If you're passionate about scrubbing floors and you're making literally $1 million a year, I don't care because you're not changing the world. So I don't care.
So he has to. So basically. Yeah, see, there's a lot of inconsistencies.
Y'all finna get into this, and I want to get into the discussion. I gotta put my kids to bed. I gotta get back.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. It's a 2-hour mark, anyways. This is a good spot.
It's all good. I will say this here is Gab 1 and Gab 2. Now, Gab 1, salute to you. You got your pilot license. I love that. Full disclosure, I'm actually looking at buying a jet, and I'm either
Love it go with jet. I'll get rated now.
Yeah, we'll get Gab 1 flying TITM airs.
I'm looking at probably getting a pilot license just for the fun of it, so I can just pull up and fly myself, or hiring a pilot myself as well. But I would say this here is I love the fact that you guys are standing on the square, which is good. I love the fact that you guys are allowing for Nick and I and Julius to push you. I always say this here when it comes to finding the one, because I get asked the question all the time: how do you know that when you've met the one? I always say, be so focused on your purpose, allow for your purpose to drive you to your spouse, because then that checks all your boxes. Whenever you begin to have these other outliers come in, it convolutes everything. Be razor focused on the purpose. Allow for your purpose to drive you to your spouse. That makes some sense.
Julius, that's a mic drop for an episode, and if I've ever heard one, huh?
Yeah,
I
want definitely a good clip.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, and I've said this to Nick before. At least for me, I know that what I'm doing, I will make a good amount of money doing law. Having an engineering degree, law degree, I will have that. So
sure.
When I'm looking
what's your law discipline?
Criminal defense / slip and fall.
Oh, so you go
slip and fall. That's the money maker, huh?
Exactly.
So ambulance chaser. So you gonna chase ambulances?
Like Better Call Saul. Like
I'll play.
No, but I guess my last thing I want to say is like, I know that I will be fine by myself, and I do want to get married. I want to have children. I want all that, but money, like the money or like of the guy I am with,
is not on the top of my list because I know that I'm self-sufficient. And I mean, obviously it's a plus, but it's not like, oh, deal breaker. I want to be with somebody who shares the same values as I do and who just like makes me happy at the end of the day.
I feel like what he said about the purpose is kind of what I've like in one word what I've been trying to convey about. I said it in so many different ways, but it's like I want the job to have like I feel like if you care about what you do and you like I don't
no, I'm following.
It's not working at McDonald's.
Anyways,
guys, McDonald's fries, don't be coming around these girls.
Just don't scrub floors and work at McDonald's, and you're all right. Yeah.
Well, guys, man, thank you so much for your time. Gab 1, Gab 2.
I'm just messing with you.
Nice meeting you guys. Nick, Julius, keep doing a good job, guys.
Liddell, yes, real quick, Liddell, before you go, what's your message to the audience and plug everything that you want folks to follow you on all the social media platforms?
Well, it's very easy to find me, guys, on all platforms. Just put in my first and last name and you'll find me. I'm the good-looking black man. It's real simple. Number 2, I would say, guys, do not be so attractive. I would say do not. I would say because you ain't finding no commands. I would say be more wiser in the conversation that you engage in, because those conversations could either add value to you or it could waste your time. And you can never. Your biggest asset is time. If you waste it, you can never get it back. So be cognizant of those non-value conversations. If that makes some sense.
Liddell, that's fantastic, dude. I like that message. We appreciate you having you on. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been fun. This was a fun one. Liddell, we want you to come back anytime you can. It's always great to conversate with you. Guys, make sure you guys follow Liddell. His link to Instagram is down below. If you look where it says guest, his link to Instagram is down below. So make sure you guys go follow him. Appreciate having you on, Liddell. It was fun.
God bless you guys.
And we'll add the ladies' the Instagrams and whatnot down at the bottom too, if they want to promote them. We'll add all that too.
Gab 1, what were you showing? What were you showing, Gab 1? What were you showing?
I got you on TikTok.
Okay, cool. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'll follow you back. Guys, God bless you. Have some time. And hey, again, I love the fact that Gab 1, you a pilot. Hand clap of praise. I love that. All right, guys. God bless you guys. All right.
All right, boss.
God bless you.
Ladies, do you have any final thoughts you want to say? Somewhat quickly. We're kind of wrapping up, but no pressure. Did you enjoy yourselves? Did you hate us as much as some people do sometimes?
No one offended me.
Great.
So,
Not yet. Not yet.
No. Julie's like, it ain't over just yet.
I don't know enough about you to dislike you.
I know a lot about Nick. Nick and I.
I'll give you guys a quick little rundown of myself. So in this whole podcast, basically this podcast is a platform where we bring people along with different thoughts. We just we ask questions, try to understand. Sometimes those questions may seem a little bit challenging. I'm a curious person. So I may say things that sound like I'm debating, but I'm just really trying to figure out like the root of all people's thought process. I'm just a curious person like that. If you want to check me out, you can watch my TikTok Today with Julius. You can look at my Instagram, kind of see, I post the news and sometimes little things of my own. So, and you can watch my YouTube as well. And I'm out there doing live. He does
dope street interviews. Go check out his street interviews, if anything.
I have a question. Where do you stand politically, Julius?
No, that's fine. It's totally fine.
This might not be the easiest thing to describe.
No, it's
fine.
It's fine.
I don't care.
I lean more towards the right. I don't belong to a party or anything. I'm just kind of like policy over party. So, but I do lean more towards the right. I do care about the borders. I do care about lower taxes. I care about the Constitution. I'm a pro-life person. So that's kind of like where I lean. I believe in God. So
you radical.
I'm radical. I'm radical when I need to be.
She's pro-choice. I'm pro-life.
We're gonna have both of you guys back on soon for a full show where we can actually organize. And you got to come back for the dating simulation. So we do this thing.
Simulation.
Listen. Hear it out. It's awesome. We set up a hypothetical first date where like you and Julius or me, whatever. We're not ourselves. We're playing a character. We can do whatever we want. You don't have to answer, like, revealing anything about yourselves you don't want to. but you just go back and forth trying to figure each other out and see where it goes. If the date ends up falling off the rails or if you hit it off. Julius totally impressed the one chick, Nikki, a friend of mine that I brought one time. They did it, and like Julius, he killed it. It's fun. So we'll have to get you guys back to all that.
Yeah, way too much. I'm black and slow, so
He black.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
How about Liddell saying he white about me?
Yeah.
All right,
No.
ladies,
Yeah, we gotta bring you guys back on. We'd love to kind of dive a little bit more deep. I actually have videos for us to react to, but we don't have enough time. We're actually like out of time, so we'll try to get you guys back on, and we'll like react to videos, talk about the dating and what's going on between men and women. I think it's always a fun conversation to have. So pretty cool stuff, and maybe we'll debate pro-life and pro-choice. Who knows? Who knows? Those are always fun.
Pro-choice on pro-life. So
that's what I'm saying. We got to get you two going out. Get a cat fight in here. That's what you call a cliffhanger, folks. Ow!
Yeah. We'll definitely have that convo some other time.
Cat fight.
You guys want to plug anything at all?
One, since she sat in the backseat of the car.
Wait, what'd you say?
We've only had like a very serious
How long did it last? An hour?
Yeah, like less than an hour. We went to dinner and I was driving and she sat in the back seat, not in the front seat with me because she was upset.
Amazing. Yeah, we're definitely doing this on the show. This is gonna be great.
You can try to make us fight. It's not gonna work.
No, I'm not gonna try to make anything. I'm just gonna get you guys debating.
I want to be plenty.
I'll referee a fair fight. Like Picasso always says, I want a good, clean fight. We'll do all that.
We don't
do you guys have any last words, any social medias that you guys want to plug or anything?
I don't have social media I want to plug because I can't give out my social media due to my job.
So
I understand.
My TikTok is Gab_GFW. I have like 8 accounts, like 2.
Are you the one with the pink background on Discord?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah,
background on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Do I?
Okay.
Hot girls can't do math. Yes.
I didn't know that's what it said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I chatted with you before, but very briefly. But
probably. I think I remember.
Who are the main viewers like that I'm giving a message to?
Just really men and women that need some advice or some guidance or some hope on young men and women. What would you advise your younger self?
For women?
For dating, for interrelations with men or whatever.
Or just a message to the world.
Don't believe men when they show you through their actions or through their words. Believe them the first time. That's my advice.
Nice. That's a good play on my campaign I started up called Believe No Women.
No, it's not about not believing men. It's about believing them the first time they show you their.
I got you. I'm just making a dumb joke, teasing you a little bit. But you guys have been fun.
For a guy or a girl, if you're genuine and you're honest, I fuck with you. If you're not, I don't fuck with you. That's it.
There it is.
For sure.
Good high notes to end it on if I've ever heard one. Julius, what's your final thoughts, bud? Roll us out of here.
I'll just say I think this episode was cool. I like having Liddell on. Very interesting conversation. I learned a lot from him. I mean, a lot of great he was dropping. So God bless Liddell for being on this show. We appreciate having you guys on too. Love to bring you guys back, and we'll do a full 2-hour show of us just talking about just men and women dating, whatever the case may be, whatever
all sorts of places. Yeah. No holds barred.
Exactly. So, but to everybody watching out there, we appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like that video. You guys share this video. Make sure you guys follow us on all social media platforms. All the links are down below. If you want to support this channel through donations, all the links are also down below. Any questions you guys have, the emails are also down below. You can also follow Liddell. His Instagram is also down below. So God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I always adapt that from my homie Anomaly. So shout out to him. We will catch you guys next week. So take care. Have a good one.
Why does it say Age of Men podcast? Hasn't it always been the Age of Men?
Oh, yeah. It's the Age of Men podcast, baby. We're ushering in Age of Men.
A new era of Age of Men podcast.
That, but that's okay.
Well, thanks for making it a glorious ending.
Yeah. Have a good one.